Hi, I'm Blythe Stevens of A Blythe Coach, dance education and coaching to move through life with balance, grace, and power. Today we're doing yoga for energy. How can we use natural approaches such as yoga and others to promote a youthful energy, vitality, enthusiasm, to wake up, feel focused, centered, and engaged? Yoga is a wonderful tool for promoting energy and also balancing energy. So it both can build up more energy, but also help calm us down when we are feeling maybe too high energy or anxious. So it helps us find that nice middle ground. It's great for caring for the nervous system, and that helps us with healing and with electrical signals between parts of the body, communicating with the brain. It has so many benefits. But we're just going to take some really simple poses today that help promote lasting energy in a really natural way. As supplements to the yoga practice and the poses that we're doing, I do like other natural approaches to energy, as well as maybe a little bit unnatural. Okay, I confess I do also drink coffee, and that helps with energy early in the day. But it has a tendency to sort of drop us off at some point unless we continue to support that. We can find ourselves hitting a low. Just like with sugar, we can get the high, but then there's a really long low. So the yoga is going to help us maintain a more sustainable energy. So that said, some people swear by other drinks in the morning, lemon juice concoctions with cayenne pepper and honey, or green smoothies. For me, are a really wonderful way to create a lasting energy based on actual nutrients, fiber, water, vitamins. Often B vitamins can be really helpful in supporting our energy when we're low and also help our immune system, along with vitamin C, which is a great energizer as well. So if you are looking into how you can adjust your eating habits, you can search for more nutrient-dense ways of eating that will also help support your energy levels throughout the day. So when it comes to yoga poses and flows that promote energy, I do love a bit of a vinyasa approach. You certainly can take individual poses and hold them for a duration of time, and that can be a wonderfully supportive yoga practice as well. But when it comes to energy, and especially for dancers, I find that we like often a little bit more movement. That sense of flow and movement helps us warm up, and that warmth flowing through also opens up our energy. So that's the sort of flavor of practice that we'll have today, although it will be short and sweet. We'll sort of be moving into and out of poses dynamically to foster that energy. Sun salutations are another great way to promote the flow of energy throughout the whole body. The Surya Namaskar series, whether it's A, B, dancing, sun salutations, are a fantastic way to start the day and also promote healthy energy. So check out my sun salutations video as well, or often that's how I will start up or warm up of full length yoga practices. So you can join me for that as well. But to begin with, we're just going to find our comfortable seat, a cross-legged seat, or if you prefer a kneeling position on both knees, maybe with a block under the seat in either case, then come into that shape now. We'll make sure we're making good contact with the sit bones onto our block, our cushion, or the floor. So move out the seat from under your sit bones so they can really press down. And then I invite you to close your eyes, roll the shoulders back, Up, back, and down a couple times. Roll the neck gently a couple times. And then come to stillness and focus on the breath. Flowing through the nose, but just naturally with ease. Not trying to manipulate the flow of the breath yet. Just allowing that strong central column of the spine to support our body, and everything else just is allowed to fall and relax. So the shoulders, the collarbones, the shoulders, the shoulder blades are falling, sinking away. The hands can fall into the lap. And we're bringing our mind's eye to the spine or the central channel. In scientific terms, we are allowing the spine and the spinal cord to be in a position where there's no bends or kinks, no caught energy from slumping or slouching, or from so tightly controlling the position of the back that we are pinching off the flow of energy. So we're finding alignment here, or good posture, we might say, but it's in order to let the energy flow and the messages flow up and down through the spine. So we can think of that in terms of electrical impulses that are traveling through our nervous system, or in yoga philosophy, that same idea is expressed in terms of the chakras or the energy wheels. There's particular concentrations of energy where it's spiraling and processing through the spine and through the whole body, through the nadis or the energy channels. So if any of those channels is impinged or cut off, we are impeding that flow of energy, and so it will affect our ability to heal. It will affect our ability to feel energized, and it can manifest in a lot of different ways. But a lot of our yoga is about providing free flow for the energy, for the nutrients, for the oxygen even to flow through the body, and finding a wonderful state of balance in that way. The next couple of breaths, I invite you to express also through the upper body, through the arm movements. So we'll follow, if it feels good, we'll follow our inhale like a float, rising on a wave. The arms will be carried up to the top with our inhale, and then everything will sink back down into the floor, succumbing to gravity with the exhale. Twice more like this. Follow your own breath pace. Inhale to come up, lengthening to the front and back body and both sides. Exhaling to sink. With the next exhale, we'll allow the hands to sink back down into the lap. And use the hands on the thighs or the knees. With the next inhale to open up through the chest, shifting our weight forward of the sit bones and lifting. We can look up or bring our nose up towards the ceiling. This is our cow shape, except seated. And then exhaling, we'll sink back into our cat shape. So our weight falls behind the sit bone. Tail and nose or the crown of the head come forward together. And then as we inhale, we come up again. And exhale, sink back. Now we have a couple options how to continue. To continue breathing, but we can take this in a really slow, stately, and steady pace. We're looking to foster but also balance our energy, have a calm and steady energy. Or if you are really looking to foster more aliveness, more energy, a higher level, then we'll speed this up. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. We end up with a little bit more of a kundalini or serpent energy idea. So we're drawing up the energy from our base, from our seat, from our root chakra, through the other chakras, through the nadis, around the spine. And the energy ends up coming all the way up through the crown of the head and fountaining out the top. If you like, you can also picture the colors that correspond to each chakra. Nice way to focus on the spine. Thinking of the red root chakra at the bottom, the orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and then white, pure white light. So you can even take a Kapalabhati or a breath of fire, a skull shining breath here. We'll pause our extension and flexion of the spine for a moment to practice that, and then we can incorporate the two together. So that breath has an emphasis on the out, drawing in suddenly through our Uddiyana Bandha, our lowest muscular lock in yoga, down here at the level of our lower abdominal muscles and pelvis. That draws in to sniff or to exhale suddenly. And then from that forcible exhale, the inhale comes completely naturally from itself back in. Yes, because we've created that tension inside the body, the way the diaphragm works is it will expand back out and draw in fresh oxygen. And that's one of the beautiful things about this Kapalabhati breathing is that it's actually scientifically proven, even in the lowest part of the lungs, our little alveoli that bring in that oxygen, that alveolar, how do the scientists call it? The amount of carbon dioxide, which is what we're drawing out of the body and getting rid of, is greatly decreased by this breathing technique. So that is allowing the oxygen content to increase. So that, of course, is going to be very energizing when we're getting more oxygen flow into the body. But take it at your own pace at first. This breathing can be a little awkward to start with. And I do have another video all about Kapalabhati breathing if you want to understand its function and effects a little bit better. I definitely recommend you check that one out. But for now, we will focus on the exhale, and maybe it will be quicker for you or slower for you. That's all fine. We'll do maybe 10 to 20 of these and then rest and then repeat again using the movement if you like. And then we'll move on to our next step. So inhaling and exhaling naturally. One more time. And with that forceful exhale, release and breathe naturally. Feel the fire that you're stoking or the shining of the skull that we're promoting. One more natural breath. And another round of Kapalabhati. Here we go. Great job. And like I said, we can start with 10 or 20 and work our way up to 50, 100, 200. It's limitless, but a little bit goes a long way. So enjoy the practice there, the benefits. And next we're going to take a spiral of the rib cage. Now there's different ways that I see people do this. We'll call them coffee grinders or Sufi circles or Kundalini rib circles or whatever we're calling them. We're getting movement in sort of a grinding sort of shape through the mid body. I do see some people take the head all the way around in a circle. Nothing wrong with that. But today we're going to focus a little bit more on the head and the tail remaining relatively fixed and the rib cage moving around those points. We get a little bit more of a side stretch, opening up all sides of the trunk. So we'll take our hands to the knees. If you want to at any point switch which leg is in the front or underneath, so we get a different balance, a different position. And we'll start our inhale through the cow, exhaling through the side and back through cat. Inhaling through the front, exhaling through the back. You could continue just the cat-cow if this three-dimensional circle is not your cup of tea. Or continue and add our breath. And change directions. So again, that front and back would look like this. Also great Kundalini exercise for promoting energy. Or we can take the circles, choose your breath style, either inhaling slow and exhaling slow, or add the sniff for a little extra coordination challenge and energizing work. So that might feel super funny, and that actually can be energizing too. These coordination challenges and just any sort of challenge can be really stimulating. So we're taking it with a positive attitude and not getting frustrated when things don't go or feel exactly smooth or perfect. Just rising to that occasion with a smile. Interesting. In the practice that's going to lead us where we need to be. All right, so there's lots of other fun seated things that we can do, but another key component to energizing practices often has to do with back bending and heart opening. So we're going to start with a really nice gentle back bend, and then I'll lead you through a couple of more challenging ones as well. And then we'll wind up our practice by cooling it back off. Certainly standing dynamic poses and balances, of which I do many in my full-length classes, can be super great for promoting energy as well. Having that rooted and groundedness, as well as letting the energy flow throughout the whole entire body, can be amazing. But I just wanted to focus on a few simple poses today so that you can put them right into practice in your life and come out with an immediate impact. So let's roll back onto our back slowly in a controlled way. You can reach the arms forward as we clasp behind the thighs to help control the roll through every vertebra of the spine. So we're articulating one. Next, we can think of each vertebra as a stamp that's going to press down into the floor. Our head coming last to release the head all the way down onto the floor, but I'm going to keep it up so hopefully we can hear me better. I draw some circles with the knees in one direction and then also in the other direction, helping the flow of energy through the low body and the whole spine. Then I'll plant feet back down onto the floor in front of my hips. So it might be helpful here to curl up and actually peek at the feet and the thighs. Direction. We have to picture the sides, our hips, our thighs, the turns of the up the bones along those parallel lines. For some, it might help to bring a block either in between the feet to squeeze or between the knees or the thighs to squeeze. For some people, this might not be necessary, but if it feels good to activate through one of those places, I say do it. And we're going to take some dynamic bridges. So with that alignment all set up and the arms alongside the spine, our first bridge is going to be small and subtle. So we're just rolling through the spine to a certain extent, planting the heels down, rolling the tail down and long along the floor and then up towards the sky. And the tail is followed by the pelvis. Of course, those are fixed bones, not really articulatable. But as we move into the lumbar spine, we're able to move one vertebra off the floor at a time, shifting the weight onto the heels and the shoulders. So only bring them up to a certain point where you feel the weight on the heels and the shoulders, and then roll right on back down, accompanied by the exhale. So it's small and subtle, and then we will build from there. The next bridge will peel off like a fruit roll up off of the plastic or off of that wrapper, peeling off and then peeling back on, vertebra for vertebra, pelvis and tail. We'll feel our hamstrings in the back of the leg really firing up. And if you want to, we can bring the arms with us on the next one. So they could stay alongside the body, or if it feels good, we can also roll the arms up and let them come overhead as we lift up into our bridge. And then let them sink back down alongside the body as we also sink. Do as many of these as you like. I'll take a couple more. The shape or the apparent depth of the bend, energy for motion purposes, is relevant. Of course, we'd love to build as much flexibility and strength as possible, but we'll try to even close the eyes and keep our focus on the internal flow and experience. Too much about what might appear from to others, comparing our shape to others' shapes, right, like that. At the top of this last bridge, if it feels good, we'll reach those arms underneath us, draw one shoulder
And then the other a little bit more underneath the chest. Oh, that's a nice chest opener. And breathe there at the top. Maybe each time we'll inhale and float the chest up a little bit, and then the chin can release up towards the sky a little bit, and we'll take that little walking pattern. Chest rises up, chin rises up, and so on. Then release the hand grip. And one more time, slowly rolling down, vertebra for vertebra through the spine. Drawing the knees into the chest again. We can release that block if we used it. Give ourselves a nice hug. We can circle the feet, circle the hands, massage the feet, whatever feels good at this moment, whatever our energy and intuition calls for. Is great. Alrighty. Then we can roll over the side and gently come up to seated if you like, or if you want a higher energy way to come up to our seat. We're going to meet in all fours, by the way. Then you can also, again, depending on the surface below you, the state of your spine, and what your intuition is telling you, either roll up the side or we can rock and roll forward and back along the whole length of the spine, which can be a nice way to wake it up, but take it at your own speed. And then, like I said, we're going to meet in all fours. Grounding down through the palms of the hands and the tops of the feet, or if you prefer, you can also tuck the toes. We'll take a couple cat-cows here. So just like our seated cat-cow, we're inhaling through the cow, arched back, and exhaling. And draw the belly up towards the spine in our cat. Continuing like that, or we can draw the knees wider and spiral. This is like those Sufi or coffee grinder or Kundalini rib circles. Only if it feels good on the joints in the knees. Make sure you have a soft bend in the elbows. But if it feels good, it really feels good. We'll change directions. Find that activating our core muscles through these sorts of exercises or other sorts of abdominal work, bicycles, all those good things can really be energizing as well. It helps us support our posture, which is, of course, as I mentioned, excellent for our energy. And it also sort of ignites that digestive fire and that internal energy that we need to feel awake. So bringing the knees back underneath. We'll walk our hands back, tuck the toes under actually for a little foot stretch here, and then grab your two blocks if you like, or if you have them, to come into camel, which is another gentle back bend, gentler with blocks or the support of props. So we'll come up first of all onto the knees, keeping the toes tucked or bringing the tops of the feet to the ground. And we're going to adjust our position our pelvis right above the knee. So that's sort of our keystone in camel, is that we don't want too much of flexion here in hip joint, but as much as possible to bring the pelvis right on top of the knees, on top of the thighs, or even forward of the thighs. So any back bend that we experience or heart opener in this position is coming from the extension, the opening in the fronts of our hip joints.
So we can experience that by placing our hands onto the lower back, fingers facing down, so our heel of our hand is kind of rubbing in the lower back where I often store tension. And then pressing down, we can lift up. So the shoulders coming together, lifting up. Here's our first beautiful camel pose. The position of the head is very personal to you. Maybe it would feel good to you to let the head rest back and gaze up towards the ceiling. Or maybe it's better, for me it certainly is, given a history of neck injury, to remain facing forward and keeping that neck in a neutral place, letting the stretch happen in the lower back, the hips, the belly, but keeping the head really neutral. And then sink the hips back. We're going to rest in child's pose. Your favorite child's pose. Couple choices being definitely pause here before you do the forward bend. We don't want to go straight from a back bend down to a forward bend. We want to pause neutral and then sink in either arms along the sides of the body, or if it feels better and allows you a deeper forward fold, we'll bring the thighs out. That will allow the belly to fall between the legs, and we can reach the arms long in this extended version of child's pose. So when I say child's pose, either of these child's poses is fine with me, whichever suits you best. So try them both and see. A couple of deep breaths here. And we'll roll our way back up through the spine, and we'll practice one more camel before moving on. Either take that same version that you had before, hips stack over knees, hands reaching down, or you can tuck the toes under, use the heels as a place to rest the fingertips and come into your camel that way. Or this is the place where our blocks, either on the low setting or the high setting, might be helpful. And we'll lift up, engaging the core, letting the tail drop down the back of the body. Then from that place, lifting our chest up. Yes, and in this case, using the blocks allows me to open up the chest and back bend much more easily and supported than without those blocks. Then come on out when you're ready. The idea being to spread the arch through the whole spine and not focus the bend in any one particular part of the spine. So maybe you've seen deeper or more impressive back bends or camel poses, and that's great, but the outward appearance of the camel in this case is not what's important to us. What's important is the inner working of allowing. So if we have a deep back bend, but it's really collapsing into one part of the back or the other, that's not fostering our optimal energy flow. See what I mean? So take it as you like it, and then come once more through our neutral spine and into our child's pose. Then we'll roll back up. There's lots of other fun back bends that I would love to share, as well as, like I said, poses, but let's keep it simple and just share one more for today. And then we'll wind it all down with a nice, relaxing legs up the wall pose that I'll show you at the end that is wonderful for balancing energy, both helping to relax us, but also promoting our vitality. So we're going to move on to the back again. gently and slowly. And we'll go into our fish position. So I love Wild Thing also as a back bend, full wheel or bow pose. The opportunities, the options are endless. But fish is a nice one because we are reclining once again. And we will bring our hands underneath the lower back or the pelvis. You can kind of place them right underneath the seat if that feels okay. Some people say to create like a triangle or a diamond shape with the hands. I'm not sure that the exact shape of the hands is important, but they are palms down on the floor, elbows reaching out to the side. And to get into our fish shape, we can have our pointy little toes. We press down with the hand and lift the chest. And we can maybe bring the elbows in a little or out a little, depending on your own anatomy. And we'll let the head drop, in the case back, if that's okay with your head and your neck, so that it's onto the top of the head. So there's no weight resting on the head or the neck. It's just falling back from the lift of the chest, from the arch of the back. I hope you can still hear me through the microphone in this position. Yeah, it's a back bend, but it feels really different from the camel or from the cat-cow shapes. And then we'll just be there until we're satisfied and come flat. Neutralizing here, laying flat onto the ground, letting the legs fall as wide open as they would like. I've got my hands resting right onto my hip joints or onto my belly. We become aware of the flow of the breath in and out. Now, if you have a wall nearby, a free wall, like the wall is great practice with an actual wall, allowing the legs completely relax against that surface. But it can be practiced without a wall as well. Plant. We can also create a legs up the wall position there. Now you can also use a block or a bolster underneath the pelvis in this shape to create, again, an open chest and a really relaxing and unwinding heart opener that creates just a little bit of a back bend, but in a really easy way. But you can also just put the pelvis right flat on the floor. So I'm going to shift my way closer to my wall or my table. So my mat is flush up against it. And then also my seat is going to be up against it. So we might have to sort of roll from the side, scoot our seat all the way up against the wall. And then, there's my plan. And then bring my legs up. So getting in may be awkward, it may be graceful. That's not super important to us. We're just interested in the shape, which is the legs straight up the wall. The knees can be slightly bent or not. I'm going to twist and untwist my feet to help them relax. And the arms can just fall out to the sides or rest the hands again onto the ribs or the belly. Whatever feels good. And take several long, slow breaths here. You could even hang out here for several minutes if you've got time in your practice for that. Really great, actually, before sleeping to help promote good sleep. But interestingly, this pose and also the Kapalabhati breathing that we did earlier are a great balancing
practices so they can promote more energy if that's what we need, or more relaxation if that's what we need, and just balance it all out. So linger here as long as you like, or continue simply like the wall in the shape, or the next stage is to open the legs. Again, it doesn't have to be an extreme split. The idea is just to let the legs fall open to whatever degree they would like. We can also use the hands here to support if that's helpful. Now these three stages, the legs up the wall, this one with the legs wide, and then the next one, which I'll show you, which is crossed. This practice of the three different shapes I learned from the Woman's Book of Yoga and Health. Of course, it's also beneficial for people who don't identify as women or any gender, but I want to give credit there. Judith Hanson-Lasater, and I'll link that source in my resources as well. But for all ages, for all seasons of life, whatever we need to do to balance our energy, legs up the wall is a great one, and it is a very gentle inversion. Sometimes other inversions are too taxing or too advanced, but this inversion most people can do. Just legs up the wall. And then depending on how long we've spent in this straddle shape, we might want to put the hands again to the outside of the thigh and gently close them. And then we'll take our cross-legged shape. It's just like our basic yoga seat, except the legs are crossed up the wall. And pause there from anywhere from a couple of deep breaths to a few minutes. Letting the legs fall down into the hip joints. Doing the body scan and releasing any excess tension that's pent up in any particular parts of the body, the shoulders, the jaw. And then once we've done our extended legs, our wide legs, and our cross legs up the wall, when we feel satisfied with that, we'll come out the same way we went in, by rolling over to the side and slowly making our way up. Now, Savasana, our resting pose, is also a fantastic one for rejuvenating us and helping us promote our energy levels. I'm not going to take the time for a lengthy Shavasana in this practice, but you have some really wonderful Shavasana resources also available, including a whole is guided visualizations and more lengthy meditation. I do also recommend alternate nostril, which I have a video for both raising and calming our energy. It's another great balancing exercise. Meditation is really wonderful, of course, as well for soothing the mind and promoting healing and energy in our life. So let me know what you enjoyed. Do you also use back bends and heart openers to promote your energy, or what do you find especially effective or challenging when it comes to energy in your own life? Let me know in the comments down below. It was so wonderful sharing our practice today, and I will see you next time. Namaste and thank you.